Non-renewable energy. A non-renewable resource is a natural resource that cannot be remade or regrown at a scale comparable to its consumption. It can only be used once. Fossil fuels are the main category of non-renewable energy. Another source is nuclear power. Coal, petroleum, and natural gas are called as fossil fuels. They are considered as non-renewable because they cannot be replenished in a short period of time. These resources come from animals and plants that have died million years ago and then decomposed to create a usable source of energy for humans. So, I am gonna talk about coal. Coal is hard, black-colored, rock-like substance. It is made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and varying amount of sulfur. How is coal made? Before the dinosaur, huge forests grew around 300 million years ago, covering most of the earth. Over the years, heat and pressure worked and the died plants turned into the dead plants into the coal. There are three types of coal. The first type of coal is lignite, which the softest and is low in carbon but high in hydrogen and oxygen content, followed by subbituminous coal and bituminous coal, and lastly anthracite, which the hardest and has more carbon, which give higher energy content.
Crude oil is a fossil fuel that we get from deep under the ocean or ground, and basically it's a mixture of lots of different compounds. Nearly all of these compounds are hydrocarbon, which contain only hydrogen and carbon. Crude oil is formed naturally from the remains of dead plants and animals that died millions years ago and were buried on the ocean floor. Then they were covered by layers of silt and sands. The high pressure and temperature on the ground turn this organic biomass into crude oil. Once we have extracted the crude oil from the ground, we need somewhere to separate out all of the different hydrocarbons in the mixture because they each have different properties, so we will use them for different things and purpose. To do the separating, we use a process called fractional distillation, which involves heating crude oils and separating out different compounds by use the fact that different compounds all have different boiling points. The product that we can get from the process fractional column, we will divide into three levels. The first level, the bottom one, we can get bitumen that we can use for surface our road, and we can get heavy fuel oil that can be separated further. For the second level, we can gain products like diesel and petroleum that we use for our car and other vehicle on road. At the level 3, the one that at the top, some hydrocarbons are so short, so they have such a low boiling point and they stay as gas the entire time. For example, the product we can get is, for example, LPG, which stands for liquid petroleum gas, that contain mainly propane and butane. If we compare the different group or fraction, the ones toward the top which have shorter chains are the most flammable, and so they tend to make the best fuel. Meanwhile, the longer chain hydrocarbon at the bottom most pool fuel, so instead of used for something else, it needs to be break down to smaller hydrocarbon in a process called cracking.
Next is natural gas. Natural gas is one of the examples of non-renewable energy of fossil fuels. It is used as a source of energy for heating, cooking, and also electricity generation. Natural gas contains many different compounds, and the largest component of it is methane, CH4. This gas is highly flammable and produces high-temperature blue flame. Natural gas is usually found near petroleum underground. It is pumped from the ground and travels through the pipelines to the storage areas. But before it's sent to the storage areas, the natural gas will mix with some chemical to produce strong odor to make it easier for us to smell if there's a leakage. So next we have nuclear energy. Nuclear energy also considered as non-renewable energy, and it is one of the most popular way of generating electricity around the world. So in nuclear energy we have nuclearization. So what is nuclearization? Nuclearization is a process in which two nuclei of atoms collide with each other to produce different products. So we have two different kinds of nuclearizations, which are nuclear fusion and also nuclear fission. So for the first one is fission reaction. Fission reaction is a process of splitting a nucleus into two daughter nuclei, leading to the energy release. But for the fusion reaction, it is a process of two parent nuclei fused into one daughter nucleus that also leading to energy release. A nuclear power plant is one of the examples of power station that use nuclear reactor to generate electricity.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nusuriati binti Mahfuzi. So now let's talk about renewable energy. What is renewable energy? Renewable energy is energy that is collected from renewable resources which are naturally replenished on human timescale, such as sunlight, wind, rain, tides, waves, and also geothermal heat. There are some benefits of renewable energy. Firstly, less global warming because it allows us to replace carbon-intensive energy sources. Secondly, improve public health due to decreasing in air and water pollution emitted by coal and natural gas plants. Thirdly, creating economic development and jobs in manufacturing, installation, and more. Fourthly, it is an inexhaustible energy because it will never run out. And lastly, energy security.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Anissa Hasrin binti Hasanul Firman. I'm from class 5K. Today I'll be explaining to you about renewable energy. So as we know, one of the famous renewable energy is known as solar energy. These are solar technologies used to produce solar energy. Most common solar technologies known as solar heating, solar thermal electricity, solar architecture, and there is more. Solar technologies can be characterized into two techniques, depending on the way they capture, convert, and distribute solar energy. The techniques are known as passive solar and active solar. Let's move on to solar power. Solar power is where the conversion of sunlight into electricity is either using photovoltaics or indirectly using concentrated solar power. What is photovoltaics? Photovoltaics convert light into electric current using the photoelectric effect. Meanwhile, concentrated solar power use lens or mirror and also traveling systems. Basically, concentrated solar power focus on larger area of sunlight and then convert it into small beam. Next is solar constant. Solar constant includes all type of radiation, and the value of constant is approximately equals to 1.366 kilowatt per meter square. As solar radiation travels to reach the Earth, they tend to lose the energy due to atmospheric absorption and also atmospheric reflection. Energy lost due to atmospheric absorption is where a sizable proportion of energy is lost to space. Meanwhile, atmospheric reflection causes 100% loss of the isolation. Atmospheric reflection mostly occurs in clouds. Okay, moving on to the latitude and tilt of the Earth axis. Latitude of the Earth axis is one of the most important factor in determining type of climate in every location. So it is very important to know the latitude of the Earth axis. Meanwhile, the tilt of Earth is the factor that influence the weather. Okay, as you all know, there are a lot of technologies used to utilize solar energy, but I'm going to highlight two most common solar technologies, which is the first one is solar PV, known as photovoltaic. So basically, solar PV system is an arrangement of component designed to supply usable electricity power by using the sun as the power source. PV system can be built in many configurations. These are all the examples. There are two types of photovoltaic system. The first one is standalone system, and then the second one is grid connected system. Standalone system does not have a connection to the electricity, so the generated power is stored and buffered with a battery. The second one is grid connected system, where the power system energized by photovoltaic panels which connected to the utility grid. Okay, so as the conclusion, there are many solar technology used nowadays, and one of the example that I've mentioned before is photovoltaic system. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Murakib bin Azmi, and I'm going to explain about wind energy. Wind is a form of energy that has been used by human civilization for more than 2,000 years. It helps our ancestors to travel across the globe and explore new land. Wind is a moving air due to a difference at atmospheric pressure. Now, I'm going to explain about windmill. Traditionally, windmills was used to pump water and grinding grain, but today it is mainly used for generating electricity. Wind turbine is a mechanism that harnesses the kinetic energy of moving air. Simply stated, the opposite of a fan. Instead of using electricity to make wind, like a fan, wind turbine use wind to make electricity. A wind turbine is a large structure that usually has 3 blades and attached to an electromagnetic generator. Wind turbines are best built offshore and onshore. Modern wind turbines fall into 2 basic groups, which is the horizontal axis variety and the vertical axis variety. A horizontal windmill axis rotation is parallel to the ground. The blades are faced in the direction of the wind and spin around a horizontal axis when pushed by the wind. Meanwhile, a vertical windmill blades spin parallel to the ground so that they can operate anywhere regardless the wind direction.
Hydropower is a power derived from the energy of falling water or fast running water, which may be harnessed for useful purpose, and it is the most important and widely used renewable source of energy. Hydropower converts the natural flow of water into electricity. So how does it work to produce the energy? We must remember that it will always possible to generate power as long as there is a movement of water, because water is 500 times as dense as air. The fall of water that turning the blades of a turbine, causing the production of energy. The turbine is connected to a generator that converts the energy into electricity. First is the power is continuously available on demand. Secondly, it is a concentrated source energy. Thirdly, the energy available is predictable. Then, it has no fuel and limited maintenance are required. So, it is low running costs and indirectly can give some benefits to economy. First is site-specific technology. Secondly, maximum useful power output available, which limits the level of expansion of activities which make use of the power. Then, it has environmental impact, which can affect the natural habitats in the dam areas. Lastly, it is lack of familiarity with the technology and how to apply. This inhibits the exploitation of hydro resources in some areas. To know the power potential of water in a river, we must know the flow of river and also the available head. The flow of river is the amount of water which passes in a certain amount of time across section of the river. And head is the vertical difference in level the water falls down. Theoretical power available from a given head of water is in exact proportion to the head and the flow. This available power will be converted by the hydro turbine. There are 2 types of water turbine, which is reaction turbine and impulse turbine.
In conclusion, both types of energy is important to us. Without it, we are unable to do our daily tasks with ease. There is no way that we can completely stop from using energy. That is why, as a good energy consumer, we should be aware of our energy usage and participate in saving the energy. That is all from us. Thank you.